I never believed life could change in a single morning. Not until the day I found a letter in my mailbox addressed to me in my own handwriting. At first, I thought it was a joke, some cheap prank. The envelope was slightly yellowed, like it had been sitting somewhere for a while. My name was written slowly, almost carefully, as if the person who wrote it was afraid of making a mistake. But here's the part that made my stomach twist. The handwriting looked exactly like mine, down to the way the T in my name leans a little to the right. I stood there for a minute, holding it, staring at the ink. The street was quiet, just birds, wind, and that strange heavy feeling in my chest. The kind you get right before something bad happens, and you don't know why yet. I didn't open it outside. I walked back into my apartment, tossed my keys on the table, and just looked at the envelope again. I kept asking the same question. When would I have written this? There was no answer. I tore it open. Inside was a single sheet of paper, folded twice. The moment I unfolded it, my hands went cold. The first line read, "If you're reading this, then the dreams have already started." I froze, because for the last week, I'd been having nightmares, vivid ones. Always the same setting. A dark road, headlights, a figure stepping in front of the car, and then nothing. I never told anyone about those dreams. Not a friend, not a therapist, not even my journal. No one knew. My eyes kept scanning the page. You won't remember when it happened, but you will remember how it felt. The sound will stay with you. The silence after will stay longer. My throat tightened. The words didn't just scare me. They made me feel seen in a way that was deeply uncomfortable. Whoever wrote this letter knew things about me they shouldn't know. I checked for a signature. There wasn't one, just a timestamp at the bottom. Sent, Tuesday, 6:17 a.m. There was no date. I read the whole thing again, slower this time, try to memorize every detail. And here's the part that made me lose my breath. On the back of the page, there was a sentence, a short one, written in red ink. I'm sorry I didn't stop it. I didn't know what it was supposed to be, or why I was suddenly sweating, or why the room felt smaller than before. But that line sat in the center of my brain like a stone. I checked the envelope again, hoping for a clue. No address, no stamp, no postal marks, which means someone put it directly into my mailbox. That detail changed everything. I spent the rest of the morning pacing, checking my phone, checking the windows, checking the door. I didn't leave the apartment. I barely moved. By noon, I convinced myself there must be some logical explanation. Maybe I wrote it months ago and forgot. Maybe it was some creative writing project. Maybe I was sleepwalking again like I did years ago. I almost convinced myself until 4:23 p.m. when something slid under my front door. Another envelope. Same handwriting. Same paper. Same feeling in my chest. Inside there were only 6 words. It wasn't a dream. It happened. I stared at that sentence for a long time, because deep down I knew exactly what event those words were talking about. The problem was, I didn't remember it. Not yet. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't even try. I just sat on the living room floor with both letters in front of me, reading them over and over, trying to make sense of words that refuse to make sense. It wasn't a dream. It happened. That line kept echoing inside my skull, digging into memories that felt too distant, too blurred to be real. Around 3 a.m., I finally got up and checked the front door again, as if another envelope might appear out of nowhere. Nothing. Just silence and the faint sound of rain starting outside. The world felt wrong. Not dangerous. Just wrong, like I was in the same room on a different timeline. By morning, exhaustion hit me, and I made my first stupid decision of the day. I brought both letters to work. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe some accidental clue. Maybe someone recognizing the handwriting. But instead it only brought attention. During lunch break, my coworker Mia sat next to me in the empty break room and nodded toward the papers. "What's that?" she asked. "Just Something weird that showed up at my place. I said, folding them fast. Mia was quiet for a moment. She had that sharp kind of curiosity, the kind that didn't go away once something caught her interest. Looks like your handwriting, she said. I froze. What makes you say that? She shrugged. You write slow and clean. I've seen your notes in meetings. I didn't realize anyone had paid that much attention. Did you write it? She added lightly. No, I said too quickly, and then, trying to sound casual, do you think it's possible to fake someone's handwriting? Like perfectly? Mia leaned back in her chair. Sure, if you study it long enough. Why? Before I could answer, the break room door opened and the conversation died. But the question she asked kept digging into my brain. Did you write it? The truth was, I didn't know anymore. I couldn't remember writing it. But I also couldn't remember not writing it. When my shift finally ended, the sky was already dark. I walked home, clutching my bag tighter than usual. Each passing car made me flinch. Every sound felt too loud. At 7:12 p.m., I reached my building and checked the mailbox before going inside. Another envelope. No stamp. Same handwriting. My pulse jumped. I grabbed it, rushed up the stairs, shut the apartment door behind me, and locked it twice. I opened the letter on the kitchen counter with trembling fingers. Inside was a single sentence. Stop avoiding the road. My breath caught in my throat. The road. The one for my nightmares. The dark asphalt. The headlights. The silhouette of someone stepping forward. I swallowed hard. I didn't want to think about it. Not now. Not ever. But the letter wasn't done. There was something else. A small photograph tucked behind the paper. When I pulled it out, my blood went cold. It was a picture of me, standing on a sidewalk at night, looking across the street at a crosswalk sign. The strange part? I didn't remember that moment. I didn't remember being there. And the photo looked recent, maybe days ago. I flipped it over. On the back, written in the same handwriting, were 3 words. You were there. My hand began to shake. I dropped the picture on the counter and stared at it from a distance, like it might bite me if I got too close. How was someone taking pictures of me without me noticing? And more importantly, why did I not remember being in that place? I looked back at the letter, searching for a clue, reading the same words again and again until something clicked. Stop avoiding the road. Which road? And why would I avoid it? I checked the envelope. Just like the others. Empty, clean, no fingerprints, no print marks, no scrap of identity. Whoever was sending these knew exactly what they were doing. At 9:46 p.m., it happened again. A knock at my door. Once. Sharp. Cold. I froze, staring at the handle. My breathing went shallow. I didn't open the door. I didn't even speak. I just listened. No footsteps. No voices. Just rain against the windows. After a minute, I gathered the courage to look through the peephole. No one was there. Only the empty hallway and dim lights. But when I looked down, there was another envelope. Number 4. I didn't want to open it. Every part of me screamed no, but my hands acted on their own. Inside was a single sentence. You're running out of time. At that moment, I realized something terrifying. The letters weren't warning me about the past. They were warning me about the future. I didn't open the 4th letter again after reading it the first time. I couldn't, because no matter how many explanations I tried to invent, there was only one that made sense. Whoever was sending these letters knew something about me that even I didn't know. Or worse, something I refused to remember. I barely slept, and when I did, it wasn't rest, it was fragments, flashes, a wet street, headlights cutting through the dark, a scream, then silence. Every time I woke up gasping for air, like I'd been underwater too long. By morning, my shirt was drenched with sweat, and my phone was buzzing. It was Mia, MIA, You at work today? Me. Maybe. Why? MIA. I need to show you something. Show me something? About what? I didn't reply. I showered mechanically, got dressed, and headed out. The world felt brighter than usual, almost artificially bright, like someone turned the saturation too high. When I arrived at work, Mia didn't joke or smile like she usually did. She just pulled me aside to a quiet hallway. I looked at your letters, she said. My heart dropped. You what? She nodded. Yesterday, when you went for coffee, they were sticking out of your bag. I read one before I realized I shouldn't. Anger shot through me, but it was drowned instantly by something else. Fear. What did you read? I asked. She looked down. The one that said you're running out of time. I swallowed hard. And what did you want to show me? Instead of answering, she held out her phone. A news article was open. The headline read, 2-year anniversary of hit-and-run accident. Still no answers. My stomach twisted as I scanned the photo under the headline. A dimly lit crosswalk. A long, wet road. It looked exactly like the one from my nightmares. I forced myself to read the first lines of the article. 2 years ago on this day, a woman identified as... I stopped. The name wasn't familiar. I didn't know her. I'd never seen her, right? But then Mia scrolled down and tapped a video thumbnail. Watch this, she said. It was security camera footage. Grainy, black and white. A figure stood at the edge of the sidewalk, staring at the road. My blood froze. It was me. Same stance, same jacket, same shoes. I didn't know how to tell you, Mia whispered. The news report said the driver never came forward, but people online think the pedestrian was talking to someone right before she crossed. They just never identified who. I stared at the screen. The video played again. The woman stepped forward. The headlights appeared. Then the recording cut off. I handed her the phone slowly, like my body was moving through molasses. I don't remember this. I whispered. I know, Mia said, but there's more. More? I didn't want more. But she handed me a printed page, the police statement about the scene. One sentence burned into my brain. A scrunched envelope with no stamp was found near the crosswalk. My knees almost buckled. An envelope, no stamp, like the ones in my apartment. I walked out of the building without a word. I didn't go home. I just walked, fast, without direction, letting panic drag me through crowded streets until I ended up somewhere quiet. A bench by a bus stop. I sat down. My hands were shaking. 2 years ago, I was there, but I didn't remember it. Why? How do you forget something like that? Unless you never truly processed it. Unless the mind didn't erase it. It just hid it, buried it, locked it behind a door, labeled "Do Not Open." So why now? Why were the memories clawing back to the surface? I reached for my phone and searched the woman's name from the article. I expected nothing. But instead, I found a social media page. And the profile picture made my breath stop. I knew her. Not personally. Not intimately. But enough to remember her face from somewhere I couldn't quite place. A grocery store? A bus stop? A neighbor? My brain scrambled like a puzzle missing half its pieces. I went through her photos. Most of them were normal, smiling, traveling, sitting with friends, until I found one that hit me like a punch. She was sitting in a small cafe, the same cafe I went to every Thursday morning 2 years ago. Then another photo. She was sitting there again. But this time, behind her, in the reflection of the cafe window, was me, staring at my phone. Same jacket as the video. My heart hammered against my ribs. I was there. I knew her. And I didn't remember any of it. At that moment, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. No profile picture. No name. Just a message. Part of remembering is admitting. Another message followed before I could blink. Stop avoiding the road. I felt the world tilt. because for the first time, I understood something terrifying. The letters weren't from a stranger. They were from someone who knew the truth, someone who wanted me to face it, someone who'd been trying for 2 years. And worst of all, the handwriting? It wasn't familiar because it belonged to someone else. It was familiar because it was mine. I stared at those messages until the letters blurred. My own handwriting. That was the part one couldn't escape. Because if that was true, if I had written the letters, then who was sending them now? My phone buzzed again. Go back to the road. No explanation. No signature. Just that. I didn't reply. I just stood up and started walking. No plan, no control. Just instinct pulling me like a leash. The city blurred around me. People passed. Cars honked. None of it registered. My mind was somewhere else entirely. When I reached the crosswalk, I froze. Same wet pavement. Same flickering streetlight. Same patch of asphalt that had shown up in every nightmare I'd had for weeks. I stepped forward slowly, like approaching grave. 2 years ago I was here. 2 years ago something happened. Something my brain refused to carry. I closed my eyes and forced myself to remember. At first, nothing. Then, rain. Headlights. Me yelling, "Wait!" A woman turning her head. Fear in her eyes. Then impact. The memory hit me so hard I stumbled. My lungs squeezed like someone was pressing a fist into my chest. "Oh, God," I whispered. I was here. But there was still a missing piece. The one thing I needed to face fully. Why I left. Why I never came forward. Why I didn't remember her until now. Footsteps approached behind me. I turned around. It was Mia. She wasn't surprised. She wasn't confused. It was like she knew I'd be here. "I called you," she said softly, "from a different number. You weren't answering." That explained the messages, but not the letters. "How did you know?" I asked. "Because," she said, swallowing hard, "I was there too." The world tilted. "What?" She stepped onto the crosswalk slowly, like she was entering a confession booth. "We were walking to the cafe that morning." She stepped out before the light changed. "You tried to stop her. I grabbed your arm and yelled her name. She turned and..." Her voice cracked. She never saw the car. My stomach dropped. "You knew who she was." Mia nodded. "My sister." The street felt suddenly too loud and too silent at the same time. "She wasn't a stranger," Mia whispered. "You didn't run away. You tried to help her. You called the ambulance. You stayed until they took her. You gave a statement. They cleared you." She wiped her eyes. "You didn't kill her. So why did I forget?" Mia looked at me like she already knew the question burning behind my eyes. "You didn't lose your memory," she said. "You buried it. Out of guilt. Because you kept thinking. If you had spoken louder, if you had grabbed her harder, if you had stepped first, she would still be here." My legs felt weak. I dropped onto the curb, shaking. "So the letters," I whispered, "they weren't for me?" "No," she said, sitting beside me. "Those are for me." My head snapped toward her. "I didn't know how to talk to you," she said quietly. "I was angry. I was grieving. But I also knew you were too. I wrote the letters because you wouldn't answer my calls. You shut down. You moved. You tried to erase the whole world." I stared at the pavement, my breathing unsteady. "Why now?" I finally asked. "Why send the last ones now?" Her answer was soft, but sharp enough to cut straight through me. "Because tomorrow is the anniversary. And I didn't want to spend another year watching you carry a ghost that doesn't belong to you." The streetlight flickered overhead. Cars passed on the wet road. Life went on around us, completely unaware that something heavy had just lifted off 2 people sitting on a sidewalk. "She forgave you," Mia whispered. "That same day, in the ambulance. She said it wasn't your fault." I just wasn't ready to believe her. Silence wrapped around us like a blanket. Eventually I asked, What was the last letter supposed to mean? The one that said I was running out of time. She let out a small, broken laugh. That wasn't about death. That was about living. You haven't been living since that day. You've been surviving. Her voice softened to a whisper. I just didn't want you to forget that you deserve more than that. A weight I had carried for 2 years finally slipped off my shoulders. Not suddenly, not magically, but enough to breathe again. We sat there for a long time, listening to the hum of traffic, letting the truth settle. Before we got up, Mia placed the last unopened envelope into my hand. For when you're ready, she said. Later that night, at home, I opened it. Inside was one sentence. Some moments don't define us. They remind us to live before it's too late. For the first time in 2 years, I didn't feel afraid of remembering. I felt ready.